I think it's important to realize that rather than mourning the person who you feel you lost and basically is now dead, rather than mourn him or her, you need to get to know the new person that you're dealing with.
Welcome to OTR, Over the Rainbow, Achieving Mental Health for Real. This podcast offers hope to many people who needlessly suffer from mental health issues. Your host, Bob Adelman, brings you information on how you can recover from any mental health issue and achieve a happier life. If you want to know more, please check out his trailer. Bob's notes on today's show follows.
Dale Walsh has overcome schizophrenia and now dedicates his life to coaching families, helping them foster compassionate connections with loved ones affected by the illness. Drawing from his own journey of psychosis and recovery, Dale provides a judgment-free space for families to express their struggles, rediscover peace of mind, and navigate the complexities of care. At the heart of his work is the LIVELOVE framework. Learn, integrate, validate, explore, listen, observe, value, express. This transformative approach empowers clients to build resilience, shift mindsets, and live with empathy and hope alongside the challenges of serious mental illness.
Now, here's Bob with today's show.
Hello, Dale. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm very well. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, my pleasure. Could you go over a little bit about yourself and your brand?
Well, yeah, I don't really consider it a brand, but I do have a company called the LIVELOVE. It's an LLC, and it's a DEW LIVELOVE, and it's actually a mentoring business for the family caregivers of those with schizophrenia. And it's an idea that came to me about 7 years ago when I figured out how much pain I'd caused my own family through my schizophrenia, and also how lost they were when I did get sick. So it has a double function of not only helping people communicate better with their affected loved ones, but more importantly to reclaim their own self-integrity and integration, so that they can not only be better caregivers, but also less codependent and also just more secure in themselves, because a lot of people blame themselves for their loved ones getting sick.
Would you want to run us through a little scenario explaining exactly how schizophrenia affects you? What was it like? And then, why or how were you able to recover from it?
I think one of the primary factors is, and this is just something that I feel extremely fortunate about myself, is that I've been dealing with this diagnosis for 50 years, Bob. So, in the course of that time, I've just gotten more familiar with myself, more familiar with the illness. But so basically what happened was, I had my mother divorced twice and remarried twice. And my first blood father, I didn't know till I was 26. But her third marriage was extremely successful, but it meant that I moved from Abilene, Texas, to Midtown Manhattan, New York City, and that obviously changed my life completely. And so I went to a very good boarding school, and then I went to Dartmouth College in the fall. I entered in the fall of 1974, and I was very successful academically, but I was also doing extreme amounts of illegal substances, including pot and stronger stuff like LSD, mescaline, mushrooms, stuff like that.
Wow.
And my mother had always had mental health issues. So in the summer of 1975, I was at Dartmouth College, and basically I came up with what I thought was a great joke, which was, "Hi, I'm God." And I was walking around campus telling everybody about my joke, and then laughing hysterically because how could God be 5'8"? I thought it was like the best joke I'd ever come up with. But after about 3 days of this, the campus cops came up and said, "Are you Dale?" And I said, "Yes." And they said, "Will you come with us?" I said, "Sure." I figured they were going to take me to meet the president of the university, but instead they took me on a 2-minute ride to the infirmary where I was interrogated for the next 4 hours by 3 sets of Ivy League psychiatrists, put in a room shot full of drugs. And 2 days later, I was in a mental hospital in New York City where I spent the next 13 weeks. And then after that, I came to a private psychiatric residence program in Hackensack, New Jersey, under the direction of a single doctor. It was like an extraordinary program for adolescents and young adults. And I had like intensive therapy, 3 individual sessions and 2 group sessions a week for 5 years. I got out of there. I got my own apartment, unsupervised apartment. I've been living by myself for basically since 1981. Went back to Fairleigh Dickinson University, graduated magna cum laude 4 years later. And since then, I've just been living in my apartment, doing entrepreneurial jobs, and ultimately just like dealing with my recovery. And I feel that I've been very successful in those endeavors.
Just to go into a little more detail, when you started saying you were God, that sounds like a kind of bipolar mania. Is it similar to that? Were you convinced that you were God, or you were just saying it?
Well, that's sort of like the double-edged sword of the whole thing, because as when I started, I really meant it as a joke. But when I got put in the hospital, I was immediately diagnosed as paranoid schizophrenia with grandiose delusions, and as time went on, I'm sure you know what's called confirmation bias. If you believe something, your mind will find everything it can to reinforce that belief. And so basically, I came to believe more and more that I was God, but I also knew I was Dale. So, and in fact, for like the first 10 years of my illness, I said, I basically put it in an equation, Dale equals God. And then I had a life-changing experience where I saw the world imploded in a thermonuclear holocaust.
Wait, how did you see that? With your eyes?
It was in my mind's eye. It was just like, I had a series of 6 visions, and the 6th vision was of the world being imploded in a thermonuclear holocaust, and I called that the death of Dale.
Okay, so these visions came upon you while you were sleeping or awake, or?
No, actually, I was fully awake.
Okay.
I was actually on the verge of going psychotic when this happened.
I think people think, schizophrenia, oh, he's crazy. No, it's a problem with the brain, and instead of processing the world correctly, we reinterpret it somehow to fit into our psyche, I think. And from what you're saying is you were in the hospital for a long time. Was that?
No, I was in the hospital for 13 weeks, and I was in the program for 5 years. And
I see.
When I was in the program, I was hospitalized 9 times, but the longest hospitalization was actually only 13 weeks.
Now, what were all these bouts that you were hospitalized with? Were they all because you were being delusional, or was there a depression that snuck in, after you had the delusion?
Well, when I was in the program, it was always because my doctor considered that I was having a psychotic episode. So, and one thing I want to say here is that, people think that all schizophrenics hallucinate. I've never had, even, as I said, I did a lot of LSD at boarding school and at Dartmouth, and even when I was doing LSD, I never hallucinated. So
that's interesting. Yeah, because I thought most schizophrenics have some kind of thing that's happening that's not real. I always thought there was definite hallucinations, but you're saying that you didn't have any of those. You just had visions. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So did you know that these visions, did you feel that they were kind of real?
I look at a few things, Bob. One is, as I said, I was hospitalized 9 times when I was in the program, but I've been hospitalized a total of 15 times. And one thing I say proudly is I was discharged from the hospital 15 times, so I was never sent away for good. And but after I got out of the program, my last 6 times in the hospital, I admitted myself because I knew I was psychotic. So I have a lot of experience with knowing myself to the point where if I do get sick or if I'm out of reality, then I take measures to deal with it. But I think another thing that I used to say is so I just trust in what my body is feeling, and ultimately what. If when you ask me if I feel I'm in non-reality, I feel I might be in an alternate reality, but it's a reality that I've built, and it's very real, and it's authentic.
Right. Okay. So today, when was the last time you were in the hospital?
Well, actually, the last time I had an episode was 1991. The last time I was in the hospital because of a medication problem, one of my medications stopped working, was 2005. So basically, I've been fully out of the hospital for 20 years.
Yeah, so you feel pretty stable right now, correct?
I feel very stable. I have no doubts about my sanity and my stability.
How do you relate to other people like your loved ones and friends? Do you have a problem with that? Or do they understand you?
They're amazed at what I've become. I mean, just the progress that I've made.
Okay.
I talk to my old friends and they say, we didn't want to say it, but you were just totally off the wall. It's just you were psychotic most of the time, and now they're just saying, I'm just amazed at how far you've come.
Yeah. Well, isn't it schizophrenic? Don't they get better with age? It starts around teenage, and then at some point, let's say 50, the symptoms start going away in a sense. Is that true, or?
I don't think. I think it's all a matter of getting more familiar with the illness. And have you ever heard of the term agnosognosia, Bob?
No, I have not.
Okay, well, agnosognosia is like a major symptom. There's a book called "I'm Not Sick and I Don't Need Help" by this doctor named Dr. Javier Amador, and he goes into agnosognosia. And agnosognosia is sort of like the hidden obstacle to recovery in a lot of cases of serious mental illness. Because what agnosognosia is it's a word taken from neurology for stroke victims who can't understand that there's something wrong with their brain. So, according to Dr. Amador, it affects 50 to 60% of people with serious mental illness. But it means that they aren't in denial about their illness. They just don't have any comprehension that they're ill, and therefore it makes therapy and taking medication and everything, which I think is very important, extremely difficult, because if you don't believe there's anything wrong with you and you're taking the medication that makes you feel terrible, then you're going to say, I'm not going to take the medication, and whether, and,
Yeah.
but, agnosia is a big problem because, nobody knows about it, but it has been, verified in like 50 to 60% of series, not just schizophrenia, but schizoaffective and bipolar and everything.
Right. That's very important. So now that you feel better, are you living alone? Can I ask?
I've been living by in my own unsupervised apartment since 1981, since I got out of the program.
Okay. All right. So are you interested in any like kind of relationships? With anybody, with friends, with women, with your family?
Definitely. I'm a very social guy, so I mean, even though as time has gone on, I have fewer and fewer friends. Just because, like, for whatever reason, I don't think I've driven. I don't really think I've driven people away, but over time, people separate and go their own way and everything. So, but I still have like a lot of friends most of my friends I've known for like 40 to 50 years. My best friend was my roommate in boarding school, and he and I go back to 1970s, and
So when, can I ask you a question? On a scale of 1 through 10, how happy and content do you think you are now?
I'd say 23. I'm just grateful to be on my own, to be able to live my life. I have a very good routine. I'm very, I get through. I actually was a financial professional for the last 3 years. I sort of moved on to that in pursuit of my mentoring business. But, I'm very social. I have no problem socializing, but in the past, obviously, it's a process, and I have learned how to cope. And after going back to college after the program, it basically took me 3 years to learn how to socialize with normal college students.
Right. You sound like you're very friendly and everything. But as far as getting a relationship with a woman, you're not.
No, I've been in a long distance relationship with a woman for the last 5 years, Bob.
Oh, okay. That sounds interesting. Are you really close to her, or? We're as close as we can, considering she's in San Diego and I'm in Hackensack, New Jersey. Okay.
We've never been able to.
You never met.
We've never been able to actually get together, but we do. I mean, even after 5 years, we spend probably. I really don't like going into too much, but basically after 5 years, we still text 2 to 3 hours a night.
Nice, very nice. I mean that's great company. I know I live with a partner, but she goes to bed like 9 o'clock. I go to bed 5 a.m. in the morning sometimes. I'm a night owl.
Well, that's the time difference in between California and New Jersey, so it works.
Yeah.
Because I'm a night owl too.
Yeah, I just love the night. I love it because it's quiet. I don't have to use my brain because I have terrible ADHD and dyslexia. I really can't read too well. I'm hoping that there's help on the horizon because I have a guy says he has a cure for reading if you're dyslexic. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
he says that
cool.
he'll teach you to read better than normal people or as good. So there's a lot of hope out there for people. And it sounds to me like you are pretty happy, pretty content. Am I wrong about that?
To be honest, Bob,
yeah.
Having been hospitalized 15 times, and every time I went to the hospital, I didn't know if I would ever get out.
Right.
And so,
I hear you.
even though the last real hospitalization was 1991, the fact that I'm not locked up in some back ward of some state hospital permanently, I mean, and another thing is that my faith and my belief in God, but now it's just like I know God is in my life. He's guiding me. He's allowing me to not only express myself about my illness and about schizophrenia, which is a mission, but it's also just to be able to testify to His greatness and being able to live a life of fulfillment and purpose. No matter how many friends I have, just live a life of purpose and fulfillment, and just be grateful for the blessings that He's bestowed upon me.
Yeah, you kind of got a bad deal coming in, but it sounds to me that you're definitely on the right track, and it does give hope to other people like yourself, and that's what I'm after in this program. Do you feel that if something came along and they say, "Oh, we're going to cure schizophrenia. You won't have it anymore. Nothing. You'll be absolutely like a neurotypical person." Well, how do you feel about that? Do you feel that you still have issues, or do you feel that you don't want to play with it? It's not broke, don't fix it.
Well, as I said, medication has been key to my recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And, people used to ask me that question all the time. And, for a while I said, well, I'm not even sure because, schizophrenia is so much a part of myself that I'm not sure if I would want to change that. But at this point, I don't feel I'm affected by schizophrenia. I take my medication every day. And I know I do have the diagnosis, but I also feel that, that ultimately I'm living the ideal life that I was always called to live. I'm
and that's what you can do. Yeah.
I believe in predestination and the basically that God has written your life before you come to earth, and so I feel that everything that's happened to me was a calling, and it's all part of God's desire for me to be a spokesman, not only for Him, but also to fight the stigma and the misunderstanding, and to give hope to the families and to those with serious mental illness. And everything that I've gone through was just a part of that process. And I sort of feel myself like I'm a warrior. I'm a soldier for Jesus and for the Lord.
Right.
And I feel that finally I'm at the point in my life where He's giving me my just reward for the last 50 years I've spent in the trenches fighting for Him.
Terrific answer. Do you have a lot of people that you counsel now? You have a business of what?
I don't. To tell you the truth, I'm still looking for my first few clients.
Okay, that's fair.
I came up with this idea of like the family caregivers of schizophrenia 7 years ago, and basically LIVELOVE is a program which I feel was given to me by God, and what it is, it's a 8-step program. And LIVELOVE is an anagram, meaning learn, integrate, validate, explore, and then listen, observe, value, and express. And so I have like an 8-step program that I want to take people through to achieve the objectives of my mentoring.
Okay, if they want to contact you, what's the best way for them to do that?
I would suggest probably the best way. Well, I have a website which is www.dewlivelove. That's all one word. .net, And actually, if people want to get in touch with me, they can go to Calendly. It's a scheduling app. It's Calendly, CALENDLY.com, and then /DaleCoach55.
Okay.
And you should be able to make a 45-minute appointment to talk to me if you want to do that. And I also have my Instagram, which is Dale.Walsh, WALSH.14.
I'm going to put up all the links. Do I have them all from Podmatch, or you want to send me some? You can?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to put every link up in the description, so if anybody want to talk to you, like maybe another person.
I don't think actually my Calendly is in the Podmatch, but I think that's probably the best way to get in touch with me.
All right, send me that link in our Podmatch email, and I'll get that going. I'll put it out there in the description. So if you wanted to just talk to our audience right now, for people that are listening who may have this affliction, what is your advice for them, and what is your advice for their family?
Well, most of all, I have a couple of things of advice. But first of all, realize that mental illness and recovery from mental illness to mental health isn't a 2-week cold that people are going to get over. You're basically in it for life. I believe, as I said, I believe in predestination, so I feel that everybody who gets sick basically chose to get sick, but also all the relatives and all the people involved with them also chose that. So, one thing I should say is when someone gets a serious mental illness like schizophrenia, then a lot of family members feel they've lost their loved one. They've lost the person that they love because the person who they're seeing is totally different and, can be difficult and everything. And I think it's important to realize that rather than mourning the person who you feel you lost and basically is now dead, rather than mourn him or her, you need to get to know the new person that you're dealing with. That's one point of advice. And the second point of advice is, it takes you're going to need to have patience, faith, love, and determination to get through this. So, I think patience and faith and love and hope are like the 4 things that are absolutely necessary in order to help your loved one recover, but also to just get through the trauma and the challenges yourself of dealing with the loved one.
Amen.
So, I guess my ultimate advice is just be aware. Do research. If someone gets sick, then do research and just get to know what the illness is about. And that's one of the primary lessons I do in my first session is learn is to just help people integrate what the heck schizophrenia is, because it's pretty complex. And it's not really complex. It's actually easy, but you gotta know the enemy that you're fighting. You gotta know the beast you're wrestling with before you can neutralize it.
Yes. I mean, what you just said is exactly the same for any mental illness, in my opinion. They have to understand it. They have to forgive the person for having it and try to make a bond that sticks. I know I have trouble with my children. They don't want anything to do with me because they just say, oh, he's nuts. He's crazy. I have ADHD, which makes me a different type of person. I'm not like the average Joe. I'm different. But it's okay. I'm allowed to be different. I'm allowed to be an outcast if I want to be. I think what you're saying is important, that family have to get it together as well as the person getting it together. And family has to accept that person. But I'm afraid in too many situations, that's not happening. People tend to reject, oh, he's crazy, forget about it. But you just said in your own mind that you're happy. So what else is there? If you're happy, it doesn't matter anymore. You can be whatever you want to be. You could be your authentic self and not have to worry about other people. Those other people have to worry about you. And,
Right.
you know, it's so good to talk about these things and be honest about them, because there are a lot of people that are suffering from this and other mental illnesses. And they're like, well, I don't want to help myself because I'll be all right. I'll just have a few drinks over here tonight and I'll be fine. And no, it doesn't work that way. You have to face your fears. You have to face your demons, and you have to live with them in peace, if that's at all possible. And it sounds like you have done something very much like that. And, I have to wish you tons of luck. You're probably happier than I am. And, that's great to hear, because my motto is everyone can achieve a certain happiness, no matter who they are. As long as they're not hurting other people, they are who they are. Accept them and have the courage to fight with them. Have the courage.
Well, actually, the motto of Do Live Love is recovery is always an option, and the big word is option, because ultimately, I mean, apropos of family members, I think, I have dealt with a lot of family members, and one of the things that I found is that they, not only have to get to know their loved one again, but they also have to stop blaming themselves.
Right.
And and the other thing is, about recovery is always an option. It's ultimately the person who's sick has to decide for him or herself that she wants to get well. And that's why agnosia is so dangerous, because if you don't think there's anything wrong, then you aren't going to make the choice to get better.
Right. Right on all points. It's not a perfect world. A lot of people are suffering with mental illness. I'm out here saying a lot of you guys don't have to suffer so bad. What you have to do is work. You have to do work to help. You can't just go drinking, drugging, because that's going in the wrong direction. You have to do the work up front. You have to get along with other people as best as you can and hope that your family understands. But ultimately, it doesn't matter if they understand. If you understand and you're happy with who you are, then that's it. End of story, close the book. I mean, that's it. And, it's good to hear that.
If I could make a confession, Bob, from 1975 to 2007, I was smoking marijuana every day. And I just gave it up. I was also drinking beer every day. And I just gave it up cold turkey in 2007 after I went to my parents' house and figured out how much my mother hated my partying. But the bottom line is that it took me a long time until I actually made the jump to stopping. And, it's just like, it's a process, and, both the family and the person who's affected with the diagnosis have to devote themselves seriously and long term to recovery, and that's the bottom line, and that's why it's an option.
I used to drink on Fridays and maybe other days, but mostly Fridays, because I had a fear of talking. I had a fear of being in a group, and as soon as I drank, that fear went away, and I could relate to people. So it was good in that sense, but it was bad in the sense that it didn't allow me to work on being okay all the time. And that's what I'm working on now. I don't drink. I don't drug. I don't do anything. And to me, they say, marijuana could help in certain situations. Okay. I mean, I'll go along with that, but you should not use it to escape your problem, because the more you run away, the more the demons come after you. And even when you get better, like I am, they come after you harder because they know that they're going to be left out in the cold soon. They're going to be gone. Right. So they come after you full force, and you got to be ready for it. And it's hard. Schizophrenia is probably one of the hardest mental illness out there. So to be able to be happy after that is outstanding. And I'm so glad for you. And I really appreciate you coming on the show. You really detailed everything. And I wish your entrepreneurship, a lot of luck on that, because people are out there that need help. And I recommend that they talk to somebody like you, because you have gone through it all. You know everything. So, but some people.
Well, that's the whole thing, Bob. Is that the reason that I don't have clients is just because people are very reluctant to talk to anybody about the pain they're going through, yes, because they have a level of schizophrenia.
Yes.
And I have absolutely no doubt that I'm going to be successful, just because I know, what are there, 2 million schizophrenics? That means I'm dealing with the potential avatar of 10 million people. And I'm performing a valuable service that nobody knows about yet. But, just because people, the more they realize what mental illness is, the more they're going to be able to get out of their own prejudice and apply it.
Amen to that, because people we saw it in 2020 when they had to sit home and think about themselves. People are born with issues, some worse than others, but everybody has to attack their issues, not just people that we label mental. People in general, who isn't mental? Think about it. You put up pictures on Facebook, but you're not that happy. Sometimes you are. And try to discuss it with other people, your family. I'm going to get into something with my son, where I'm going to try to resolve the issues I have with all my children. I begged them to, let's talk about it, and we're going to do it now. So it's the same thing. If you think you're better than somebody else, you're wrong. You're not. Everybody's precious. Everybody's important, because we have consciousness. We're people. We're whatever we are. We're something. And to dismiss a person and throw him in the garbage because he might have this illness or that illness, it's ridiculous. If you had tuberculosis, they wouldn't say, "Oh, Jesus, we can't talk to him anymore. He has tuberculosis." They don't say things like that. Everybody has to hear these words. Everybody is crazy. Period. Everybody is crazy. And what you have to do is realize that you're not any better than the next guy, and that you need to help the next guy. A lot of people get stuck in themselves. I'm like that a little bit. Probably a lot. They just get stuck in themselves and they can't go anywhere. It's like, oh, today I had this problem. And tomorrow I had this problem. Oh, the next day I had this problem. But that's the wrong way to go. What you should do when you go to sleep is say, you know what? This went right, and that went right, and this was good, and that was good, and I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that. We could be in the 15th century not knowing where to put our shit, literally. And we are living like kings. Kings don't live. Back in the day, kings didn't live this good. We have plumbing and heat and TV and all these cell phones. We have everything. But you know what? We don't have ourselves. We are unhappy. There's so many people that are unhappy, and they try to, mask it. Oh, I'm not unhappy. I'm fine. but they are unhappy. And, I just want to say, gosh darn it, why can't we wake up to realize that people are people? You have to accept them for who they are. If you don't like them, you don't have to talk to them, but give them a chance. Give Dale a chance. Call him up, see what happens. What's the worst that can happen?
Well,
yeah.
I think I can close with something which would be very helpful to people, and that's, all mental illness is a response of the body and the brain to stimuli and environment to which the person has been exposed. So therefore, if rather than seeing it as a dysfunction, if people began to see mental illness as a function of the body trying to of the self trying to cope with the things that are overwhelming it, I think that would be like an important first step.
But that's a very important. It's a good point. But there's also some kind of inheritance, some kind of you are going to be susceptible to, let's say, worry. You worry too much. That's the thing that has to heal as well. You cannot just say everything was because my mother was a jerk off. You can't say that anymore. What you got to do is resolve your PTSD. There's so many ways to do that. And then work on yourself to the point where, you don't care what other people think. You love yourself, and that's it. End of story. I'm done with it. I love myself. Everybody else can fuck off if they don't love me. But I'm going to try to get along with people. But if you can't, you can't. But let's do it, Dale. I mean, why not?
Right.
What do we got to lose? If you don't do anything, guess what? If you don't do anything, nothing will change. If you expect things to change without doing it, you're out of it. You have to do it. And you have to question things. But every family needs this. There's always family dynamics. It's like those things that make noise in the wind. What do you call those things? Chimes. It's like chimes. You touch one, it's going to touch the other, and the other, and the other. So people, we're all the same. I mean, I don't know what else to tell anybody. Look, we listen to Dale. Are you happy as Dale? I mean,
as I said, I'm a 23 on a scale of 1 to 10.
He did the work. You did the work, right? You worked at yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's the only way to do it. So I don't know what it's going to take to get somebody to shut this off and start maybe calling you or calling some other person they trust or getting counseling online. Let's do it. Because everybody needs help. Everybody needs a counselor. Everybody does. I don't know anybody that doesn't. People don't want to talk about what they're ashamed of. And that's the problem. As long as you don't want to talk about what you're ashamed of, guess what? The demons will remain in you until you do. You have to do something. And that's, I beg people, please do something. I mean, I sit outside now. I put my feet in the grass because somebody said that could help get me grounded. I called the counselor so we could resolve my issues with my children. I took all sorts of examples from doctors and about, changing your thought pattern. When you get a bad thought, here's how to change it. Change the channel.
Right.
Everything in this podcast, if you listen to 105 episodes, maybe 10 of them are not worth it. But the rest will tell you that you have to do the work. You have to try to recover with your whole family. Because when you're dying, you're not going to say, geez, I wish I had more money. You're not going to say that. You're going to say, gee, I wish my children were here. I mean, you might not do that, but most people do. I mean, maybe there's somebody that doesn't give a shit about his kids or whatever. And he just dies, and he doesn't know that love that you could have. He knows partly what the love is, but he doesn't know everything about it. And
Right.
I know my kids love me, but they don't love who I am. And that's a problem. And people have to stop doing it. Just stop. I go on, I'll probably cut a lot of this out, but in my heart, I know I'm right. I know I'm right.
Yeah.
And I know that people can get better. Everybody. There's no exception. Everyone can get better.
Well, there's no limit to how well you can get either, Bob.
No limit. You, and if you don't get better with counseling and everything, consider medication. I mean, God forbid you take medication for your brain. That's so much different than taking it for your liver, your heart, your lungs. When it comes to mental health, they're like, I don't need it. Don't need it. I don't want to touch mental health. What is it, a happy pill? No, it's not. It's a pill that's going to help you balance your chemicals in your brain. Or it's a technology that's going to help. We're on the verge of discovering so many things about what can help you. Ketamine, for instance, hallucinate. They prove that you don't even have to be hallucinating on it. You just have to have a low dose of ketamine, and it helps with what they call neuroplasticity. I don't say it right, but neuroplasticity, something like that. But let's do it. Let's help ourselves. Do it. You got to wonder who's healthy. Are the people that have mental illness healthy? Or are the people that run away from it and hide and put their head in the sand? Who's more healthy?
Right.
And yeah, I really appreciate you coming on. I didn't mean to get into it so much. I'll cut that out, and I'll bring you the end of the show. So good luck. Thanks a lot, and take care of yourself, please.
Well, thank you for having me on, Bob.
It was a pleasure.
I really enjoyed it, and I think this has been a very productive conversation. And keep up the good work, and just hang in there and keep plugging.
All right, I really appreciate you putting up with me and having patience at the end here.
Well, I really enjoyed this interview and this podcast, and thank you very much.
Yeah. All right. Take care of yourself. And feel free to email me or call me or whatever. And thank you for a great interview.
Okay, thanks very much. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.